Actually, The Parent Trap was our very first major picture for Disney. Parent Trap was definitely not the title when we started working on the film.
But there was a lot of writing involved in getting the one song that he wanted for the title song.
We couldn't find a title. I mean, Walt wanted to use His and Hers, but it was gone. Paramount owned that.
We went through, Susan and I, we went through...
Whistling at the Boy.
We had a dozen titles.
So there was a contest. I mean, we must have seen 3,000 titles. And everybody in the studio, there was a $100 prize for the one who could come up with a title for this.
Now, time was, you know, when you could open a motion picture merely by flashing its title on the screen and listing the names of the people who helped put it together. But not anymore. We reached a point where it has become a real challenge.
Went on for months looking for a title.
It's a very wonderful thing to us, actually, that every song we attempted to write as a title song wound up as a regular song in the film. It's kind of marvelous.
For time may tatter our first sweet thrill.
And you can always count on me. A Brewster too soon we will be. Let's get together. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Straighten up their mess with togetherness. Togetherness, the Parent Trap.
It is a bit of serendipity that Annette sang the title song. It was because of Annette that we came to the studio in the first place.
She's the one that actually sang a song called Tall Paul that brought us to the attention of Walt Disney. So eventually, when we started working at the studio, she sang a lot of our songs.
We wrote 35 songs that she recorded.
By the late 50s, we were writing a lot of rockers. We wrote song after song for Annette, and one day Walt said, "Who are those fellows that are writing the fun songs for Annette? I want to meet them." And that's how we got a chance to do that first movie, which was The Horsemasters.
We were requested to write a song for the Horsemasters, but we didn't know anything about it.
We'd have to tailor-make it for Annette to sing, and we didn't have a script or anything, but we just sort of took a chance and wrote 3 songs, one fast, one medium, and one slow.
But Dick was in New York at the time, and when Jimmy Johnson called, Jimmy Johnson, the head of the music company, and I was in California.
Yeah, we actually started on the long-distance lines, and then I flew back the next day.
Right.
And then we closeted ourselves for 3 days and wrote those 3 numbers and brought one of them in to Jimmy Johnson.
Then we thought, well, this would be it. We'll play it for Jimmy, head of the music company. And he said, yeah, that's good, fellas. Let's play it for Walt. We said, Walt who?
He says, Walt Disney. He hears everything. You know, we didn't know.
Oh, no, we got nervous.
Oh, wow.
So he marched us across the way, and we came into Walt's office. He said, you 2 boys brothers?
We said, oh, yeah, we're brothers.
He said, well, you know, in vaudeville, a lot of guys said they were brothers. They really weren't. We said, no, we're really brothers. He said, well, let me tell you about this story. And he started launching into the story of The Parent Trap.
Told us about these twin sisters that meet in the summer camp, and we're dying. We were just saying, oh, well, what are we going to do, you know?
I got kind of encouraged, and I said, well, we came here with a song for Annette from the cello in the Horsemasters.
So he says, well, why did you let me waste all this time? And he got sort of angry with himself, and he said, let's come with me. So we went into the other room, and there was this piano with the keyboard facing the corner. And I had to sing to him with my neck turned like this.
And he was looking out the window, and Jimmy Johnson, his face turned red. He was so nervous. And Walt said, that'll work.
We didn't know it at the time, but that'll work was actually one of the nicest compliments he ever made to anybody. And then he said to Jimmy, he said, well, since I wasted all this time on the other picture, why don't you give him a script and see what we can do with it? I don't like the title. It was called We Belong Together. So he says, think if you could come up with a good title for the picture or something. And that's how we got our first assignment for the Hayley Mills movie.
Anyway, we were not very excited about this thing to begin with, because all he said was, it'll work. And, you know, so we were walking out of the office. Jimmy grabbed us by the elbows, and he walked us. I said, that's great, fellas, that's great. We said, what do you mean, great? He said, well, he accepted 1 song for a picture, and he gave you an assignment for another one for a feature. And we said, oh, you know, we didn't know.
He wanted us to write a title song. So we came up with the title, For Now, For Always. We thought that would be a good title for the movie. And we wrote a very pretty ballad for the picture, and we thought this would be a nice theme. And it goes like this. For now, for always, our love will stay as warm as summer.
said, it's beautiful, but it's not a title.
But we can use it in the pictures, and we'll give it to the mother to sing.
La-dee, la-dee, la-dee-dum, la-dum, though time may tatter our first sweet thrill, it doesn't matter, it never will.
The song in the film, For Now, For Always, was in lieu of dialogue. And that's when a song or music in a film is of the greatest value, that it really isn't, now we're going to have a song.
I envisioned the park scene as just a park with Maureen talking about her ex-husband and Hayley's father and why they divorced.
Where did he take you on your very first date?
He took me to dinner. It was an Italian restaurant, one of those down in those old basements in New York.
When the two Sherman brothers played that song for me on the piano, I thought right away, I said, that's one of the most beautiful love songs I've ever heard. I can imagine it orchestrated. I had no musical background, but I could hear that like a song from the 50s, a love song from
And that was kind of wonderful. I'll never forget David Swift's reaction when he first played it for him. He says, I got chills up my neck. I said, oh, great.
But once I heard this song, I wanted to put it in, squeeze it in someplace.
What song did they play?
Song?
Oh, there must have been a song. You know, the old they're playing our song type of thing.
And a little of the song is there, but the song deserved more. The song deserved better production, I think.
La-dee, la-dee-dum, la-dum.
It was in lieu of dialogue, and therefore there was no other way it could have been developed, because then it would have become a number, and it wouldn't have been a scene in which that was really the dialogue for the scene.
Well, actually, Walt was puzzled when he heard For Now, For Always. We said, well, look, when the parents met, it was in the 40s.
That's the style of ballad that was being sung back in 1946. And if you figure it out, the girls were 13 years old. So you'd have to add a certain amount of years and a year for gestation, you know, and a little bit of growing. 15 years later, so here the picture was coming out in '61, so we wrote a 1946 ballad. And that's exactly what we did.
Walt said, yeah. He liked it.
Yeah, he liked our thinking on that. And Walt said, yeah, pretty good. He never would come out and say, great.
Not in front of us, but behind our backs.
He said nice things. So
try again.
Every time we came up with a song, Walt would say, this might be the title of it. And he'd show us a beautiful poster, all painted and everything, and it said Petticoats and Blue Jeans. And we said, oh, great. So we wrote a song called Petticoats and Blue Jeans. Petticoats and blue jeans, Bobby socks and curls. Da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum.
Oh, they've started the music again.
We wound up using it in the film, in the dance.
I love dancing. I could just dance all night. Especially with you, Wilfred.
To make the little recording, Terry York was a professional singer that was in the studio that day, and Tutti Camarata, the musical director, said, too bad we don't have two girls to sing it. And then he looked at my wife, Ursula, and said, Ursula, why don't you sing with her? And the two of them made a heck of a good little record. But he said, that's not my title again.
So we tried again, and we came up with a little subtle hint for the two girls, the twin sisters, to sing. Let's Get Together was written as a contemporary rocker. I mean, it was just the two little girls, as if the two girls had written it. And that's kind of the way we did it. Kept it very simple and very typical rock and roll type song of that time.
They were lovely people to work with. We recorded it, obviously, before we shot the scene. You know, I was no great shakes as a singer, after all, but it was easy. I never felt that I was being put on the spot.
Hayley was very honest about it. She says, I can't sing. And we said, but Hayley, you have this wonderful personality, and it comes through in your singing. And she carried a tune very well.
She said, you really think so? Well, I'll give it a go.
And this became a huge hit, of course. Let's get together, yeah. Why don't you and I combine? Let's get together, what do you say? We could have a swinging time.
We be a friend.
Yay, yay, yay.
Let's Get Together was staged so well by the Sherman brothers. They'd rehearsed the moves. In other words, I came in as an audience and saw two girls on stage, and they played the playback of the music, and I could envision what it should be in the film and plan my camera shots accordingly. Paul Smith and the Rangers, and between Dick Sherman and Bob Sherman and everybody, they had it all set up for me.
I was madly in love with Elvis Presley at the time, so I may have been influenced the way I moved my hips, but I probably think not.
Hayley could play the piano, so that was right. She got the notes right on the dummy piano.
And I think it's paramountly obvious that I can't play the guitar.
The fingering of the guitar was a little too difficult, so we didn't stay on that shot too long. But I figured they wouldn't notice that so much.
And she tried, and when we heard her say, nothing could be greater, say, hey, alligator, we knew we had it, because that's such charm. No singer would sing, hey, alligator, only Hayley Mills. It was just great, and she made a big hit with that song. Hayley Mills and Hayley Mills, both of them.
Oh, I really think you're swell. Uh-huh. We really ring the bell. Ooh-wee. And if you stick with me, nothing could be greater. Say, hey, alligator, let's get together.
She said alligator. I love that.
Let's get together right away.
No, that was special. She's a very gifted actress, and she, even at the age of 13, 12, 13, showed great talent.
Let's get together. Yay, yay, yay.
A perfect song for those girls to sing, that they echo. It's a song sung at the dance at the camp, and Annette Funicello sings it, and then they sing it to their parents.
And that was, of course, a very successful song. He liked that, too. He just, that's not my title. That's not my title. We had a dozen titles.
And finally, Walt said,
Hold it.
we're not going to do this anymore. He said, here's the title, and I don't want to hear another word from anybody. It's called The Parent Trap. You don't argue with Walt. That was the title.
One day called us into his office and said, can you write a song called The Parent Trap? You know, if you think about it, Parent Trap is a mouthful because there's two T's happening, Parent Trap. And so we said, of course we can write it. You know, that was our standard answer. So we just said Parent Trap. We threw out one of the T's, and we came up with a simple, little, easy, swingy kind of a song the way Sinatra was singing in those days with that sort of thumb-snapping bit and everything.
If the love's on skins, treat your folks. Boy, it's a long time ago. All your family is gonna snap.
I remember after we finished it, Walt listened to it, and then he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something very special with this. There's some great guys that do stop-motion photography. Bill Justice, Xavier Atencio, Tee-Hee, so I want you to work with them. Maybe you adjust it a little bit. And I remember we were lucky to have Tommy Sands and Annette because of the fact that they were doing Babes in Toyland at the time. And so they were both on the lot. We never thought of it as an Annette song. We thought of it as a title song for the film. Actually, you know, Sinatra could have sung it. Annette was our darling pal, you know, she was our lucky star. So she and Tommy together joined and did the title song as a duet. It was wonderful.
Togetherness.